So tell us about how this adventure began for you. Why this story? What was important to tell this story for you?
I guess it was important for me to tell this story because I grew up in baseball. I grew up as my dad as a major league professional player, coach, manager, all that kind of stuff. And I see all these movies, and you see a lot of the big movies and everything else, and they're great. I love them. But nothing ever portrays what it's like for the struggling guys. And that's kind of where the movie came from, in a sense, is because, you grow up minor leagues. Most of my life is minor leagues. I watched my dad, being with my dad as a kid in the minor leagues, and nobody sees how hard this stuff is. Granted, we ended up doing the movie more like it's definitely stuff from my life, from stuff I've heard, from things like that, and that's kind of we ended up portraying in this movie.
I'm gonna be straight up with you. I gotta let you go. You're just not getting it done. I brought you on as a favor to your old man. But you're at that stage where you're not putting up numbers. I can't have you out there making me look bad. You're a good base stealer, but correct me if I'm wrong, you can't steal first base. Son, I'm releasing you because you just can't play anymore. Now, I gotta do what's best for this team here, son. You're a veteran guy, but I can find a guy who makes half of what you do and plays great defense, who at least makes contact. Well, this ain't about you or your character. Okay, you're a great clubhouse guy, you know the game, but you're getting old, and you just don't have it anymore. I'm sorry, Phil, but this is it.
You were involved with the process from the very beginning, then it sounds like.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. How long did it take from concept to now to getting it made and everything?
Holy God. Yeah, like 4 years. Wow. I mean, and that's from him, I think, coming up with the idea, writing it. Before he was on board, we did some early test shooting with me and Jeff, a couple other actors who didn't even end up in the movie, but just to try the improvisational thing, and it was a train wreck. Like, it just did, and then he was like, I got to go back to the drawing board, which he did. Then when we really got going and they got their first chunk of money, I went off and I did these spring training baseball camps that his dad made happen for me. So yeah, between the actual baseball training and physically making the movie, which is about a 2-year process, actors' schedules, money running out, then they have to get more. I mean, it's the typical story of a lot of indie films. Yeah.
What did you take from your time? It sounds like you worked with Jeff a lot. So what did you take from your time with Jeff Lewis, and how much did you learn, and what are you stealing from him now that you're using in future projects?
Oh boy, I wish I was as cool as Jeff Lewis to be able to steal from him. Jeff was the king of quiet. Yeah. He really was, and we were talking off camera a little bit about Clint. I mean, Clint discovered him. And Clint, so I don't know, he didn't say this, but what I surmised was that his acting style, I think, was shaped by Clint's directing style, because he just was doing his movies initially, and that's what he knew. So Jeff was a very quiet guy, didn't say a lot, and a real actor's actor, really loved the craft of acting and loved being an actor and respected other actors. I think he taught me the ability to do nothing or very little. Awesome. Like, there's not a lot sometimes you have to do. And I think a lot of actors, especially like actors who do a lot of TV, they feel like the first thing they get their script and they just look for their lines, you know. And I feel like what Jeff taught me was the most important moment on camera is the reaction with no lines. So it's when I'm listening to you talk, that's where the, you know, I would say the real teeth of acting is.
I think what Jeffrey Lewis taught me was toughness. What it was to be a real man, you know?
Wow.
What it was to be like, you know, you look at the old Cowboys, and that's what Jeff was. He was that man.
I mean, baseball's a great backdrop for a metaphor on life, really. You know, it's ups and downs, and it has the same kind of flow as life does sometimes. I want to know, what did you learn that you didn't know about baseball before that helps you with your everyday life?
I learned on this film that I don't know shit about how to play baseball. And by extension, probably the same would apply to some degree about my life.
Interesting. That's super interesting.
I don't know shit about baseball.
Well, you can't tell. You can't tell in the movie. They make you look like you know what you're doing. At least when you're tossing the ball. When we're playing soft toss in that one scene, but.
And your scenes were real.
Yes, yeah. The scene and I was actually rostered by the Chicago Cubs AA team in Iowa. I signed an actual contract for a day. I got paid $1. And you know, I went out on the field and I did it.
You got paid to play baseball.
I did get paid to play baseball.
were a pro baseball
Total
player.
dream. Well, the thing I learned was, because when I was a kid growing up, that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
And doing the movie, I had a lot of guys like Roger Clemens, Benny Castillo, who's actually in the movie, who played for the Mets, Stan Clyburn, who's in the movie, plays Ernie Hudson's bench coach. I got a lot of nice compliments, and it may have had somewhat to do with the fact that I'm an actor, but they were like, you know, hey, you're pretty good, man. You could have maybe played if you stuck with it. Here's what I know. I'm glad I didn't pick that I never would have made it. There's no way. I mean, it's hard. That's what I learned. I learned how hard it is to become a Major League Baseball player because, Tim Johnson, Eval's dad, said even the worst guy in MLB is better than the best guy in AAA. So, it's a really tough life, and what it made me is a true fan of the game now. After the movie was done, I was like, I never want to pick up a baseball bat again. I don't want to go to another batting cage. And that's one thing I guess I'd have in common with a lot of those ex-big league guys. I think they miss the limelight, but they're done. Like, they don't want to pick up a bat, and it's why you'll never see a big league guy really want to do any of that. So they're like, I'm done. I did it. It's kind of a young man's game, and you have it when you have it, and then you just be a fan. So I learned how to be a fan.
And do you think that helps you in life a little bit too? Kind of tailor your life a little bit more. Did that open your eyes to maybe I need to pay attention more to my life as well? Do you think?
Well, it made me really proud that I chose what I chose for a living, which was to be an actor. Yeah, it made me realize that this was the one thing that I'm truly best at. I mean, maybe just because I always had in the back of my head, like, oh, should I have tried or could I have, along the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like playing in these games with these guys, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good. But I'm not.
When you grow up in professional baseball, you realize you're around these guys that are really, really good.
Yeah.
And they're not even major leaguers.
Yeah.
They're minor league guys, and they're amazingly good. And as a kid, and he's a teenager, whatever else, you see all this, and you're like, I'm good. I feel like I'm good. I can play. But then you realize I'm not that good.
Yeah.
So, and baseball, especially minor league baseball, that's a tough life. It's a extremely tough life with your dad being gone all the time, and you're making shit money. Excuse my language. You're making shit money, and it's one of those things. It's like it's not something to pursue unless you're going to be a superstar. And back in those days, especially back in the 80s and early 90s and stuff, nobody made money. Only certain guys made money. I remember, guys were making $600 a month, and I think it's still the case. Guys make very little money in indie ball and minor league baseball. So it's like I knew I would never be, even if I got signed by a team or something, I would never make it. I just from my experience watching how good you had to be, I would never have made it. So it's, I recognize that as a young age.
Going a little inside baseball here, I want to know from you guys one tip that no acting class could ever teach an actor that's coming up.
About baseball?
No, about acting.
Well, no acting class is ever going to teach you what it's like to actually be on a functioning, running, working set, in the sense that you can mimic the process, you can recreate the process in a classroom, you can do all those things necessary to simulate what it is like. But until you have a clock ticking on you, you have an EP breathing down your neck, you have a budget, you have a deadline, you have stuff to get in the can, you don't have time for somebody's BS in a trailer, you don't know what it's like. And as an actor, you don't know what that pressure, because you may be a nice person, right? And you're just there to do your job. But there's a million other little firecrackers happening around you, and politics and pressure that you have to let go of when that camera is ready to go. They can't teach. You have to be able to do that, I think.
No, that's so well said. I would have probably said that, because it's like to me, that's one of the hardest things about acting on a film set. Yeah. You're trying
to turn it back into a fun, honest thing.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not. It's a business. It's work. There's a deadline. People gotta go.
But then you have to be creative. Yeah. Well, you've got a boom pole over your head and a makeup person going like this to your face, and a thing coming up to your nose as they're measuring and you're still trying to be like a creative artist in this area that's not really made to be. Doing a piece of theater. That's why it's the actor's vehicle.
It's the pure
because
vehicle, right?
every night it's just a straight, you just roll with it, and it's all actor energy, But on a film set, it's the stop go and all of this. But so the only thing I would add to that would be the one thing an acting class can never teach you is living in life. And I find so many actors don't know themselves well enough, which is why they can never get to certain places they need to get to. So from my feeling, and that's why I think older actors are always really amazing to watch, because you've lived. Well, and that's why a lot of younger actors, it's hard because you don't know, you're 20. What do you know about? You don't even know who you are as a person. So I think and acting classes don't talk about that a lot, stuff I learned later in life, which is, so if you can take the time to really know yourself, then I think you can really then just be alive. Because all I want to always do, whether I'm on stage or in film or doing an interview, I just want to be alive.
Yeah. On the lines of being an actor, then, how do you start your process? Is it an external thing? Do you look for the character's characteristics first and kind of work off of that and go inward? Or are you someone who goes inward and tries to work outward?
At least with film, I kind of like not to do a whole lot prior to getting to the set. I don't really want to I don't want to really rehearse anything. I would like to get to know the actors I'm working with, just the person before and a lot of actors have different processes. So yes, what I do like to do is find out as much as I can about the character and really learn about their world and kind of do a lot of that work, but I'm not writing with pencils and in books, and it's just I guess I always want to, whatever my process is, I want to remain open to feeling but not acting. I don't ever want to act. I just want to, whatever I'm doing, I just want to feel. That's all can. I just want to be a loose instrument of whatever to work with him and you or whatever, and just feel, and that's it.
As far as the look goes, did you figure some input into that, or did you just kind of go with what they were kind of envisioning for you?
Yeah, Ewald was pretty specific. He wanted me to be real beefed up, so I was like twice the size I am now. They wanted me to have like a gut, which I had, which took me a long time to lose. But because I was a guy on the down slope, they wanted me to have short hair. He was very specific about the look. It was a very physical movie, probably the most physical role I ever had to do, because we did this movie for 2 years. I had to keep that guy up, that I had to do that. So that was a super challenge. But I've done that before for other roles in film and definitely on stage. There was a role, I did this play called Bent, that Holocaust play, and I really thinned down for that. Had my head shaved, and it was the whole thing. So I'm not a stranger to it at all, and I like that. I like that, and that kind of helps me a lot when I'm getting in the shoes of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, process. For me, it's starts on the page. It's just what has the writer given you to work with, and then everybody has a process. Everybody has tools that they draw from, and everybody has techniques that they use. And some people are adherents to one particular idea or way, and for me, I feel like having vast knowledge of all those things gives you a bigger tool bag, as an actor, just to go, okay, well, let's try this technique, let's try this process. And for some roles, you step to it and you realize that any blueprint is not going to work. Yeah. You're going to have to do it in the moment. Yeah. And that's the only place to do it, to get to that guy, to that thing. And then for me, in terms of this film, the look, was very specific to Ewald's vision. I played this, seedy biker character, and he had me in a one of these 1%er or whatever they're called, the jack covers, and I was wearing Whiskey Greg's cut, which was a big deal. May he rest in peace. I hung around with E, and I hung around with these guys a little bit here and there to learn a little bit of that culture, that camaraderie, that biker life, and I have a very small part in the film, but I think for any actor, it's about getting into that moment. And as minor as my role was for the film, it was critical that I was fully on board with Ewald's vision.
What do I cherish about being an indie filmmaker is that there's not a lot. It's tough. You eat shit all the time, and it's not. It's very thankless. It's a tough thing, and unless you really, really love making movies, it's not for you. Filmmaking in general is, even all the big guys started from somewhere, and I'm sure they ate crap the whole time, and then they finally made it, and it's a tough deal. So that's the thing. It's like, I guess it's a perseverance. You have to have a certain kind of character to keep making movies. It's just, you just keep pushing forward, even when you fail, because you're going to fail all the time. And you just keep doing it. You got to love it.
Along those lines, this is 4 years of fruition that it took to make this film. So, in that respect, how often was it just a matter of perseverance and just pushing through? And did you ever feel like maybe I should change my approach to make this a short film, or did you ever feel like this is not going to happen? Or
you know what? Honestly, I never thought it would be a short film, and I never thought it wouldn't happen. Yeah. I always knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to take a while, but then I was lucky enough to have Phil and Jason Richter, who had the perseverance to actually stick by it. I was lucky for that, because you don't always have those actors that are going to stick by the project and be able to hold a beard for 2 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like these guys stuck by me, stuck by the vision, I mean, it's a different kind of film. It's not going to be for everybody. You know, it's not a film that everybody's going to go, oh, this is, you know, it is what it is. It's like it's a dark film, and I think it's one of those things. It's like you get lucky with certain people that you cast, and I got extremely lucky. And Jeffrey Lewis, I mean, shit, he stuck with me for 2 years, more than 2 years, and that guy, man, I wish he could see the movie. I really wish he could see the movie. So.